Tonight, $10 billion in COVID-19 losses. The review by the Inter-American Development Bank is in. And Nassau, a gun town. The former Prime Minister's description straight ahead. Plus, money on the way after independent contractors hit the pavement. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kendino Knowles. COVID-19 is expected to have a $9.5 billion impact on the Bahamas. That's according to a new report by the Inter-American Development Bank and United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. Our newest reporter, Atalia Hall, has more in this report.
The Inter-American Development Bank and UN Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean report revealing that the economy is not expected to return to its pre-pandemic level until 2024. The report also noting that the pandemic overlapped the devastating impact of Hurricane Dorian. The two disasters are estimated to have cost the country a combined $13.1 billion. The report also showing that the pandemic in the Bahamas has affected more women than men. Parliamentary Secretary of Economic Affairs Wade Watson.
The first step in this process is to ensure that we use sound policies based not on heuristics, but on data and evidence, coupled with research.
Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville says the report is very important for the country as it provides lessons for the collaborative response.
We have learned a lot, and it transcends governments, and our population has been affected tremendously.
Economic Affairs Officer at ECLAC, Omar Bello, sharing more statistics and says it is estimated that jobs will be impacted.
Impact unemployment of these losses will be around 30,000 jobs. As Daniela mentioned, this is equivalent to 40.7% of the labor force of the country and is consistent with the rise of the unemployment rate of 25.6%.
Now, this report is the first of its kind carried out in the Caribbean and only the second to be done in Latin America. Reporting for our news, I'm Atalia Hall.
And the Free National Movement railing against the Davis administration and its response to crime. Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis as well as current party leader Michael Pintard both insisting crime is spiraling out of control, and they say government is clueless about how to solve it. Jamila Missick, another new addition to our team, has more in this report.
Last week, there was killing after killing and shooting after shooting. New Providence appears as if it is a gunman's town, with Davis administration appearing clueless as to how to address the problem.
Those comments coming from former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis in the House of Assembly Wednesday afternoon. Minnis railed inside after several supporters took part in a quiet demonstration outside Parliament earlier this morning. One of them, Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands, who says the government needs to focus on the suffering of families.
We applaud the actions of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. We support them. We are encouraged by what they are attempting to do, but we would like to make a gentle but firm prod for the policymakers to understand that it cannot be business as usual.
FNM leader Michael Pintard says while they were invited to a police briefing to discuss crime, that discussion was not in depth.
We've had a long-standing recommendation to put in place a crime commission, which brings together stakeholders from various sectors who will work with various ministries on programs that deal with the issue of prevention, deterrence, detection, intervention, law enforcement in general, and of course rehabilitation.
Pintard also says they're hoping that the government will have a sense of urgency in addressing these matters. The country's murder count now stands at 76. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Missick.
All right, the former Prime Minister dodging questions about accusations of his government's alleged interference in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Today, Dr. Minnis stressing that the matter is highly classified.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis mum on comments from former Commissioner Paul Rolle. When pressed on the matter ahead of Wednesday's Parliament session, Dr. Minnis said this.
From perhaps similar time, Penland, Ingram, Christie, the Commissioner of Police meets with the Prime Minister every Thursday, every week. The Commissioner informs the Prime Minister of the state of the nation in terms of crime, position with respect to the U.S. on certain matters, international matters, etc. These are all discussed in confidence.
1 week before he stepped down from the post of police commissioner, Rolle said he felt betrayed and deceived by the way the former administration handled several senior officers. Among those senior officers were current Commissioner Clayton Fernander and Deputy Commissioner Limon Delaveau. When pressed on the matter, the former Prime Minister remained steadfast and stressed that those conversations were classified.
As far as I'm concerned, any conversation between myself and the Commissioner of Police remains confidential. And I am certain that the present Prime Minister is in a similar situation. The type of information that is given to the Prime Minister, he can never repeat such things. There are some information that are given to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister cannot even tell some of his cabinet colleagues.
Meanwhile, newly minted Commissioner Fernander says the writing is on the wall. He also says he's moved on and is focused on crime control.
It's clear to the Bahamian people now exactly what transpired with the senior officers, which include myself, what went on. That speaks for itself. I've since moved on from that now and focusing now on the job at hand. That is to bring this crime situation under control.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
And Police Commissioner Clayton Fernander saying police-involved shootings must be justified. This as National Security Minister Wayne Munro saying this week at Cabinet that there's likely to be an uptick in police-involved shootings.
I will say to my officers and the people that we are not going to just take a life just like that. Officers have to protect themselves just like anybody else and have to be justified. It's not going that officers will go there and just targeted individuals. You will never see that. We are trained and professional officers, so you won't see that happening. But they have to protect not only you, but themselves.
The police commissioner also telling reporters that he's a proponent of stiffer penalties for those convicted of possessing illegal firearms. And the Cabinet Office also announcing today that Prime Minister Philip Davis has recommended to Governor General Sir C.A. Smith that Justice Ian Winder succeed Chief Justice Brian Morey, who is set to retire on August 4th. We've got more on that appointment available now at Our News Bahamas on Facebook. Well, we've got more on the regional mission to food security later on in our newscast. But first, it's time now for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg?
Thanks, Gindino. A warm and comfortable evening outside our studios right now with temperatures hanging out in the mid-80s, 84 outside our studios right now under, well, few clouds. We have a breezy southeasterly flow at around 12 knots in your feels like temperature. Still a bit on the humid side at 89 degrees. Satellite view, quiet across the area. That tropical wave is well into the Gulf of Mexico. That ridgified pressure is building westward across us, continuing to provide some breezy conditions across the central and southeast Bahamas. A couple isolated showers still hanging out across the northwest Bahamas, but we expect most of that activity to be pulling out towards Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico tonight to tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. And still to come on Our News, it's payday soon for Beaches and Parks independent contractors. The chairman is on the record tonight. And Crown land clearing underway as squatters face eviction. And the new food security regional mission of CARICOM. It's all coming up when Our News returns. As contract holders demand payments, Beaches and Parks Authority is putting together a list of individuals to be paid. Independent contract workers protesting outside of the office of the Prime Minister Tuesday saying they are still owed money. Authority Chairman McCallum Bonamy.
We intend to communicate with those persons in short order. We're putting together a list of individuals that are ready to be paid, so we'll just revert to you in short order on that.
Is there a timeline as to what the short order means in the next few months?
As soon as possible.
Squatters on Crown land are now being forcibly removed from those areas. The word coming from National Security Minister Wayne Munro, who says evictions have begun. Monroe says so far the exercises have resulted in the apprehension of over 20 irregular migrants as well as the arrest of others with criminal warrants. The minister also giving this update on the family found living in a school bus off Carmichael Road.
The Minister of Social Services engaged with them. By the time the team goes to that area, there should be specific legal directions from the Office of the Attorney General as to how we would proceed there.
Parliamentarians debating a bill that they say will bring relief to hundreds of people who lost loved ones during Monster Storm Dorian. The amendment to the Evidence Act allows for a person to be presumed dead after they have not been heard from for 2 or more years following a natural disaster. Central and South Abaco MP John Pinder says the bill will have a huge impact.
It is far-reaching implications. Although only a few words, it has immense and deep impact on the lives of those who have been hurt by the recent natural disaster Dorian. And it has implications for any upcoming natural disaster, God forbid it. It is a matter of emotional and legal closure. It is a matter of lessening the burden of having to move on without the loved one with you.
When our news comes back from the break, the CARICOM mission to reduce the region's food import bill by 2025. We'll tell you about it.
Plus, coming up in sports for you tonight, the Babe Ruth Caribbean Championships getting ready to get rolling. We'll give you details on that. And Jonquil Jones and the Sun back in action. We'll tell you how they did coming up in sports.
And improving weather conditions continuing into the rest of the week. The details in your extended weather forecast when our news returns. This is our news. Welcome back. Climate change taking center stage at the 43rd regular meeting of CARICOM heads of government, but another issue that's plaguing countries in the region is food security. Import bills are high and food costs are even higher. Our Sasha Lightborn is in Suriname for the meeting where the issue is being widely discussed.
The region's collective food security theme is 25 by 25. That is to reduce food imports of CARICOM nations by 25% by the year 2025. And according to Agriculture Minister Clay Sweeting, it's the overall message in closed business sessions here at the 43rd regular meeting of CARICOM heads of government. Sweeting also admitting, along with his Caribbean counterparts, that achieving a reduction in food import bills will be an enormous task.
We understand that it's a tall task, but we're working very hard to put policies in place to cause this to happen. We're putting a lot of focus on poultry, a lot of focus on grains. We understand that poultry, currently we consume roughly 78 million pounds of poultry, inclusive of foreign visitors, but we only produce around 5% locally. So there's a big sector there that we could work really hard to try to mitigate what we import.
And Suriname President Chandriki Prasad Santokhi agrees, noting that CARICOM nations must come together.
Although the island regions do not have abundant fertile lands, they have human capital and they have financial capital. With joint investment and by utilizing modern technology, we can guarantee food security for the Caribbean and the region. And we must see this also against the background of the invasion in Ukraine and the impact of the war to the food security.
Sweeting adds that forums such as CARICOM give regional leaders an opportunity to share wins and losses amongst each other in the agricultural sector. He says two countries which he hopes the Bahamas can learn from are Guyana and Jamaica.
We just left the investment Agri-Invest Forum there in Guyana a few weeks ago, and we're currently working with all our counterparts in CARICOM to find ways to work together, because we understand that we are in this together. They have done a lot of things and been successful in different aspects of the agricultural sector, especially poultry. Guyana produces 100% of what they consume. Jamaica does the same. So we're currently working with those to find ways and policies on how we can help to enhance agriculture in our country.
Reporting from Paramaribo, Suriname for our news, I'm Sasha Lightborn.
Thanks, Sasha. Well, the Bahamas gearing up to host the Babe Ruth Championships. Meanwhile, a rough night for Grand Bahama native Jonquel Jones. Marcellus Hall is up now with sports.
All right, thanks a lot, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Baseball fans and sports fans will get excited this weekend as the Babe Ruth Caribbean Championships get rolling for you tomorrow. Now, the opening ceremony is promising to be something special. Make sure you check those out. That's going to be at 7 o'clock tomorrow, and of course, we'll have lots of games broadcast right here on RTV. Big thing is the Bahamas will be in action. For more on that, let's take a look. Babe Ruth Caribbean Regional Championship set to swing into high gear tomorrow at the Bahamas National Stadium. Some 36 countries will be competing in Youth 12 and Under 16 divisions. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Boleg calling all Bahamians to come out and show their support for the Bahamian youngsters.
Babe Ruth will commence this weekend, and we're going to have teams of over 36 countries going to be represented under the U12 and U16 for boys. And so, you know, we want the Bahamian peoples to come out and watch and support your Bahamian team. We have 2 teams in there from the Bahamas, U12 and U16. And, you know, you got teams like from Jamaica, Cuba, United States. United States is bringing over 200 visitors along with their team. So that means they're going to have the full fan support. We can't let them.
Meanwhile, Jonquel Jones and Connecticut's Sun back in action yesterday, taking on the Dallas Wings. And, well, things didn't go quite as the Sun would have liked. They go down 82-71, ends up being your final score. Jonquel, bit of a slow day for her from the offensive standpoint of things. She played just 24 minutes in the game, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists in the contest. Connecticut now still in second place in their division as they fall to 14-8. They're in the Eastern Conference. Dallas improves to 10-12. Looking at Connecticut's next matchup, they'll play actually on Wednesday, well, next week, when they take on the Indiana Fever. There it is. You checked on sports for you here on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Marcellus. Well, still to come on our news, Greg, he's back in the Weather Center with your extended weather forecast. Don't go away. This is our news. Welcome back. It's time now for your extended weather forecast, and meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with a look at conditions for the rest of the week, as well as tracking the tropics. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks again, Candino, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Warm regime in place, that ridge of high pressure out of the Atlantic extending across us and into the Gulf of Mexico. Dry conditions throughout the remainder of the islands, with the exception being the northwest Bahamas. Some of that moisture from that tropical wave that moved into the Gulf of Mexico still affecting portions of the northwest Bahamas, but we expect most of that activity to pull out towards the west as well. Upper level low spinning just to the southeast and east of the Bahamas. That's interacting with another tropical wave that doesn't have much activity associated with it. That will continue to pull towards the west as well, affecting the southeast Bahamas with a couple isolated showers. Tropics quiet, a couple of tropical waves out there, not showing any signs of development at this time, and we don't expect any tropical cyclone formation over the next 5 days. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds turning more southeasterly, 10 to 15 knot seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 8 p.m. tonight. For the central and southeast Bahamas, caution flag still in place for you guys. East to southeasterly wind flow at 15 to 20 knots. Your seas will be running 4 to 6 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast over the next 7 days, quiet weather really. We have a couple isolated showers during the afternoon hours, but all in all, temperatures will be near the 90-degree mark during the daytime, and we expect those temperatures at night to fall near the upper 70s to near the 80. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Candino Knowles. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Until then, have a wonderful evening.